The following is a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.
Another show we just did with Mission Minded here, Michael Coleman, Heart of Alabama Food Bank, a good friend of mine, that first and foremost, and a great partner here on Tony Kurre Radio. You can hear that show on our podcast. Wherever you get your podcast, we're available on every major industry out there. Pull up, of course, Mission Minded. Just make sure you put Tony Kurre Radio in there because there's probably some other podcasts out there, Mission Minded. Bite by Bite, I don't believe is another podcast name that I think we got the rights on that bad boy. Bite by Bite, a show specific to the Heart of Alabama Food Bank and Feeding America. And we were talking about missions right before we started the show. When you work for a non-for-profit, when you're doing something every single day and you're really not, I mean, your needle changes in a much different way than most needles change. You're not looking at for meals. You just wanting to put food in hungry stomachs. Can you discuss that mission and how that change happens a little bit?
Yeah, more specifically, you were asking me about how does it affect people's mindset if you're doing something that you feel like it's not a task that ever gets complete?
Yes.
Like, from a scriptural background, we look at that and Jesus had mentioned that, you're always going to have the poor with you. So we know that there's always going to be people who have need. And a lot of people look at that kind of thing. If you look at it spiritually, you look at it philosophically, there's reasons. And I think I agree that we're always going to have the poor with us, in part because sometimes there's circumstances that drive that are outside of people's control. Sometimes, like when you look around the world, there's people in parts of the world, rural parts of Africa, of South America, of Asia, where there's just no resources, there's no technology, there's none of that. And so there's just no means hardly to climb out of poverty. It's all they've ever known. And when you look at the poor in America, in some ways, it's not much different. One of the things Alabama has been focused on the last couple of years is trying to get high-speed internet access to all the rural areas. And that's true probably of every state of trying to do that. Because we know that that's really a condition. Businesses need it, people need it, but to get it in an affordable way is a real challenge. But there's also a part of the human condition that says, and I want to make sure I'm not misunderstood when I say this. There's always people of every culture who are simply ne'er-do-wells, who no matter what resources are provided to them, no matter what pathways are built for them, no matter what the amount of people who come around them, encouraging them and offering them the hand up, they're not going to progress in life. Yeah. So from that perspective, it's just not the absence of resources. Some people just don't have any drive, self-determination, whatever. So there's a whole host of reasons why we will always have the poor with us. When I look at it from a mission standpoint, because that is, if people look at that, they're like, yeah, how do you stay motivated? Because it would feel almost like being on a hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. You just keep running. Okay, now we need to run faster. We run faster, but we're still in the same place. And it could feel a little bit like that. One of the things that I have had, I won't say disagreements, it's just different perspective from some of my food bank counterparts, is when you look at the vision statement set by what we do at the Heart of Alabama Food Bank versus others, when you set that vision statement, our vision statement doesn't say our vision is to end hunger, because I do not believe personally in casting a vision that's unattainable. Okay. I think that is a frustrating endeavor. I mean, why put something out there as the vision? And the vision should be something you're striving towards. And once you start to obtain that, is maybe you then stretch it back out. And, so people are always seeking. But there are some people who say, well, no, it's not obtainable, but but our goal is to still end hunger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I get it. I just, but what I tell people is that for every child that they feed, for every adult that we get them through to the next meal, for every senior, that we're affecting health care, both mental health, physical health, all those kind of factors, that we are daily changing lives. And of course, we don't always get to see it. We don't always, because we get caught up in all the logistics and all that. But if you were to remove not just the food bank and the safety net we provide for society, but just the services of nonprofit, because think about it, government services, when you go in to get food stamps, you go into somebody that, for all intents and purposes, is not going to be burdened by the fact that you're poor and need food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to come and say, okay, I need the following documentation. And you're going to give them the documentation. They're going to sign you up, or they're going to send you away for, say, bring you back something else. And once they sign you up, they go next, and they're just on to the next person. They're not investing in your lives and in your challenges and all that. So government can't do that. Government can bring resources, but government is not going to immerse their lives into your life in the sense of managing your care or helping our case manage you. So nonprofits kind of fill that gap of meeting societal needs, lifting people up who don't have the right support structures. And they're driven out of a desire to make their communities better, humanity better, if it's faith-based, is to exhibit what they believe God is, asking them to do and represent in a community. And so that's where you're going to get this one-on-one caring and conditioning. But we know, because of, again, going back to a spiritual perspective, we know from a one-on-one perspective, this world is broken.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we believe in redemption. And of course, we believe we're making a difference. But the idea that we're going to eradicate all diseases, the idea that we're going to eradicate poverty, the idea that we're going to, that we're going to ever create this panacea, this utopia, it's never going to happen. But you've got to stay focused on the fight nonetheless, because the fight's too important. If you take your eyes off of it, then people are going to suffer. And so right now, it is all about saving every starfish that you can walking down the beach and making a difference in each person's life to the degree that you have the ability to do. Well, I will tell you, one of the things that was explained to me years ago about responsibility, because we say, well, why is it my responsibility? How do we determine? And a man told me years and years ago, he said, it becomes your responsibility if two things exist: if you have both the ability and the opportunity. So, for instance, it's not my responsibility to solve world hunger because I don't have the opportunity or the ability to do either one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have the ability to do something, let's say care for a neighbor, but let's say he's a neighbor that lives 8 states away and I don't live there anymore, so I don't have the opportunity, so it doesn't necessarily fall on me to do. But if it's my next door neighbor that I go home to every night, and I have the ability and I have the opportunity, it's kind of my responsibility to care for people. So I just thought it was a good way to take this great, there's needs everywhere we turn. And the question is, what do? We step into that. We can't solve it for everybody, but everybody can influence their piece of the pie for the betterment of the world and betterment specifically of their community.
And you're doing that. Heart of Alabama Food Banks down there in beautiful Montgomery, covers 35 counties in the great state of Alabama. HAFB.org, HAFB.org. Till next week, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Curry Radio.